In this demonstration, we're going to talk about how to pull the response data from the form responses that are submitted over time and kind of analyze that data in analytics. That also creates a lot of the widgets on your dashboard as well. For the majority of the most part, most of those come from the forms data. So if you're looking to look at that data, you would pop into your form section here, and then you're going to look at the responses page. We do put a little graphing widget here to kind of remind you that that's where that data is housed. When you first pop into your form responses, it does typically actually only filter 7 days, not all. So when you see this page, it usually says the last 7 days of the date of the user's device that they're submitting it from. The observer is the user logged in, filling out that form. It does capture their map location and if they're assigning any follow-ups on that form. Additionally, it is important to know how forms are built a little bit so that you know what you're analyzing the analytics side for. So for example, on the advanced search, any additional fields shown here are actually created within the form and kind of built from scratch. And then we toggle on the options of whether they're selecting satisfactory or defective and so forth. So for example, if I was to click into the form section and bring up a new form, when you're building one of these out, basically all those fields that are shown on the advanced filter are any new field we add here and then create an option for the user to select it throughout the form or type in that option or add an attachment or sign off, so forth. So if you are looking for a filter on that advanced search that currently isn't housed, typically you can add that in by adding a selectable option here. So for example, if you're looking to add the location, you can create that locations list. You can add on the settings tab either a custom source of just adding in each location, or if you have that data already set in your control panel under your list, you can also choose that as a source as well. And then that would allow you to have that location to capture that filter over time. Unfortunately, it wouldn't like go back and update any, retroactively update any responses, but at least going forward, you would have that filter and that gauge to kind of pull those analytics for that location over time as your users begin filling that out. So kind of knowing that, you will pop into your form responses. And a good one to look at is, I'll show you a couple ways to kind of look at response data, one for inspections, and then also I'll pop into the incident report as well. So first we'll start out with the inspections. When you pop into here, like I stated, typically this is filtered to the last 7 days. So if you want to widen that up to the last true 30 days, or if you're looking at the previous month, or a custom range, feel free to use any of these filters as you see fit. In this case, I'm just going to do the previous month, and then I'm actually going to hide my advanced search so I don't have to look at that anymore, and then hit search here. Now you can see, once you scroll down, you see a graph of all the individual responses here shown on screen. If I right click and open in a new tab, you can see each one of the responses on an individual basis and kind of analyze the data across the page from there. I do recommend right-clicking and opening in a new tab for these because if not, you'll lose your search results and you'll kind of have to restart that over as you see fit. If you want to download all your data into Excel, to do that, you can click on the white drop-down arrow and you'll see some options here to download all that data into Excel as well as into a PDF as well if you needed to. So if I click on the Excel report, you'll see it gives all the data across the board of everything that was selected for each answer. Additionally, I do like to point out what I call the trend line here. This is very helpful if you're looking to analyze any of those inspections that have defective items on it. You can see over time that for the previous month, the most items selected as defective was the roof. But if you kind of analyze that graph over all time, you'll see your results are going to kind of filter up accordingly from there. So feel free to play around with these filters as well as the advanced search filters if you're looking by locations, things like that, to filter down the data and get specific graphs that you want to see accordingly from there. And now you can see once I widened it all to all, you can see that the most effective was doors. So then you can follow up with managers or maintenance or your employees and say, what's going on with our doors situation, that this is the most effective item being selected on our driver inspections. Again, feel free to click through the trend line. Any of those options that are selectable do create that nice graph. It will try to do it for text analysis as well. However, anything pretty much can be typed into the text box, so it doesn't give the best graphing data in that state. So that's why that selectable option will create that nice graph for them so that you can have this analytic on this side. So even if you can give them a graph where you're giving majority of the options and give them an option to choose other, that will be better for you in the long run versus just having them type in text fields. Additionally, on the individual page, if you want to kind of pick and pull data points to see, a lot of people will get confused by this export button because they'll think I need to export my response data and they'll use this export button. However, this export will only export the fields you select on screen. So you can see here I have truck number selected, the odometer reading. If I wanted to pull over some additional information, maybe as the date and time, also, let's see, maybe the address they typed in. I can pull these options on screen, and then once I use this export option, it's only going to export these 7 fields. So it allows you to pick and pull certain data points instead of having to see a big long report of Excel, as I showed you before. Allows you to just kind of shorten that report and pick and pull certain data points you may want to see quickly on screen and or in Excel so that you can sort and filter that data accordingly from there. So now we'll pop over to the incident reports and kind of show you a few filters you can filter by that. So on the responses side, you'll pop into here. And then if you had that advanced search open, it will still kind of have that already house. And if you're looking for a certain incident type that you wanted to filter by, you could say, I only want to see the injury and illnesses that happened, maybe over the last 6 months, and filter that data accordingly here. So now you can see here my filter does automatically apply the last 6 months. The injury type is, or incident type, excuse me, is injury or illness, and it found 8 responses. So now I can go through and kind of look at these details on a whole if I wanted to pop into the report and see kind of what has been happening over time. Additionally, you do get that graph again of the incident type over time. So if we remove this filter to all, you can see, and let's go ahead and widen this to all as well. And then let's go ahead and hide our advanced search and hit search here and see all of our responses over time. We can see that other has been selected the most, and as well as near miss is the second highest. Let's go ahead and click into this if we wanted to analyze what are those responses that were selected other as the incident type. So if we click into this, it actually looks like nothing happens on this response page, but if you hit search, it actually automatically applies that filter for you where the incident type is other, and then now finds those 51 results so that, again, you can analyze them on an individual basis accordingly from there. If you do have any questions regarding any of the forms or form response data and how to pull stuff out, feel free to reach out to our support team at support@kpaehs.com.